you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks everyone for joining me. And today I wanted to talk about my experience in Zeeland, in the Netherlands, with this project from Kinesis in collaboration with my university. The title is Getting to Know Zeeland Through the Youths, my research project for Kinesis. And I will tell you about the pros and cons of living in Zeeland as a young person. What are the causes that push young people to leave the area? What kind of suggestions they provided, and what is their overall perception of this province? So I am Francesca Amatruda, a literary translation student at L'Orientale University in Naples. My research project took place from September to October 2023, and I did some research about the emptying of rural areas. In particular, investigating why so many young people aged between 18 to 37 are leaving this region in the Netherlands, and most of them never come back. At the same time, I wanted to learn more about this small region and understand what makes it so attractive, what its strong points are. And therefore, how can life in Zealand be improved, also thanks to policymakers, and become more and more attractive, especially for young people, but in general for everyone. So I will be introducing Kinesis and my research project, my methodology. I will tell you about the results, then some personal feedback. And if you have questions, feel free to ask during the presentation or at the end.
Yes.
So Kinesis, as you can see here in the logo, it stands for Knowledge Alliance for Social Innovation in Shrinking Villages, and addresses the topic of international cooperation focused on shrinking areas by creating an international living lab to exchange best practices and innovative ideas developed across Europe. This project aims at fostering social dialogue between different stakeholders such as academia, businesses, local bodies, citizens, and NGOs as one of the key elements to revitalize shrinking and marginalized areas. But before talking about my project, I wanted to introduce you about this small region, which maybe some of you do not know or do very little about. This is a province in the southwestern of the Netherlands. It is the least populated province in the Netherlands, and it is a region that relies a lot on tourism, especially summer tourism, thanks to its beautiful nature, beaches, and tranquility around you. But unfortunately, Zeeland is suffering more and more from depopulation, and like many countries, is becoming a grayer and grayer province. So I wanted to learn more about life in Zeeland, getting in touch with people who play an active role in the society, especially young people, and investigate critical aspects, but at the same time, understanding what makes this area so interesting and attractive and what policymakers should emphasize more. One of the most important aspects of my research was to collect concrete suggestions and recommendations by directly asking to my interviewees what could be improved according to them and make Zeeland more attractive. To aim my goals, I did some field research. I chose to resort to a qualitative approach with some semi-structured interviews, either in person, if I could do that, or via video calling when people were living too far away from me. As I said, my respondents were 18 to 37. They were either born and raised in Zeeland and chose to stay or to voluntarily leave the area. Or it could be people from other countries or from other Dutch cities, especially big cities like Amsterdam, who for various reasons chose to come and live in Zeeland. I took notes on a specific notebook for every interview I made and then categorized the answers. And today I wanted to tell you about the main results divided by topic. So I wanted to learn more about these people, their general information, what their view of the quality of life in Zeeland is, like safety, public transportation, facilities, education, social gatherings, occasions, the housing situation, and the relationship with local community. And for these aspects, I want to thank the work of, like I will say, Officina Aree Interne Giovani, which helped me to give structure to my questions. The pros and cons of living in Zeeland as a young person, and the spontaneous suggestions. Of course, it wasn't super easy and super smooth at the beginning. I had to understand how I wanted to approach my respondents and how to give structure to my research. So I had to understand how to get in touch with them because I didn't know anyone. I encountered some elusiveness during street interviews. There were many people who were not willing to answer, who were not interested in my research, and that was part of the situation that is totally normal. Before arriving in Zeeland, I made a quite long Google form, which was very interesting, and would give me more detailed answers. However, we discussed about it, and it wasn't the best choice because it would take a lot of time, and Dutch people are very pragmatic, so I don't think many of them would have answered. Then I was completely free in the management of my research, which on the one hand was very helpful and very educational for me. It helped me become more and more responsible and organized, but sometimes it led me to feel a little bit lost in what I had to do. Then I encountered some high cost of living compared to Italy, especially for public transportation and grocery shopping. And of course, finding a house was quite difficult due to the housing crisis, which involved the whole Netherlands. Who were my respondents? I interviewed around 38 people. Most of them were 22 years old. And as we can see here, the answers are pretty balanced. So some of them were from Zeeland and wanted to stay there. Others were from Zeeland too, but left the area or intend to do so in a very short period of time. Then we have people from another country or city who came to Zeeland. This was mainly related to social relationships or to the positive aspects of this region. And some of them don't know for sure yet what they are going to do in the future. So one of the aspects I wanted to investigate was safety. Zeeland is broadly perceived as a safe area. It is safe for women who can walk alone at night or during the day in general. It was safe for children who can play in the streets without being constantly supervised. And this was a very important factor for families. It is safe for personal belongings, which you can leave outside your house and won't probably be stolen. And there is in general a low criminality rate. However, there are some groups of people who don't feel totally safe in Zeeland, and that, as we will see, is a little related to religion and prejudices like being homosexual or dressing up in a certain way, which is a little bit unconventional. But personally, I felt really safe in Zeeland. I went out running several times, and I didn't have to need to constantly look behind me. People were very respectful, and I really appreciated that. Then we have public transportation. Some of the respondents did not have particular problems with public transportation. However, the majority of them complained about issues like delays, cancellations, very few rides, and that is a problem especially for small villages who are quite far from each other. And if you don't live nearby a train station, that could be a railway station, that could be a problem. It can be a problem with buses too, if you have to move at night or on Sundays. I also noticed that it's very poorly connected with the beach, for example, in Vlissingen, which has beautiful beaches, bigger cities with Zeeland, Flanders, with the Western Scheldt and Belgium. And as I said, it has elevated train costs, except for students in the Netherlands who are eligible for free transportation. Then we have education. This is a crucial factor for youngsters who choose to leave Zeeland. Most of them choose to go and study in big cities like Rotterdam, Amsterdam, or Utrecht. And that is related to the lack of an actual university in Zeeland, because there are two institutions that are defined as hogescholen. They are comparable to university, but are not exactly like university. So if you want to pursue that specific study path, you are kind of forced to go to a bigger city, especially if you enjoy city life and having many facilities and going out late at night and so on. There is also a little didactic offer, especially for specialistic study paths. Many respondents claim that if you want to pursue a traditional study path like medicine or law, then you can do it. But if you want to do something more particular, then that it's not possible to do that in Zeeland. And if you want to pursue career aspiration and have more job opportunities, you will chase them in a big city where there are more chances for you. Another important aspect was that of facilities and social gatherings. Most of them claim suffering from the lack of social location and some facilities, which are like supermarkets, shops, and that is also due to the remote position of Zeeland compared to the rest of Europe, but also from other Dutch cities which are difficult to reach, and we can make a link with the aspect of public transportation. And there aren't many restaurants, cafes, clubs, and nightlife, places to just go and gather or to train together, to do some sport. Then, as I previously said, Zeeland is a region that relies on summer tourism, and there's a lot of tourism. However, they claim not having enough offer in the winter for Zeelanders. And I also found it interesting that they said that there is no safe place for high school students. This school level is called middelbare school. It's like high school for us. And there's no, the places that were called the third places. So there's no safe place for them to gather and just be together without it having to be a cafe or a restaurant and so on. So everyone agreed that something specific for young people must be developed. A critical factor was also housing situation. Unfortunately, it affected Zeeland too, with an imbalance between demand and supply. The houses are quite expensive, but in comparison with the rest of the Netherlands, Zeeland seems to have a much more affordable housing market. In fact, some respondents already live in a property house at a very young age, and Zeeland is still appealing to many people from other cities and countries who come and go and settle there due to the lower price of houses. What is the situation with job opportunities and employment? Zeeland is very land-oriented and focused on tourism, fishing, food and agriculture. However, there are some industries to be found in Vlissingen, but the job situation depends a lot of what your area of specialization is. Based on that, you can have different scenarios, because if you work in a field like healthcare, it would be very easy to find a job because there is a staff shortage. But the situation is not the same for specialistic jobs, like some of the respondents, which are like accessibility expert, media designer, graphic designer. Many of them complained a lack or an absence of companies, especially international companies. Finding a job takes more time in Zeeland. There are less job opportunities, but a positive aspect was that there is less competition and they feel like there is a calmer and less aggressive work environment. Therefore, they suggest introducing more companies, more specialistic work, and investing in technology such as artificial intelligence. Then I wanted to find out how much does their relationship with local community affect the choice in staying or leaving the province. Having a strong bond with friends and family, a good relationship sometimes plays an important role in their choice. Some interviewees don't have social bonds in Zeeland anymore. They don't want to have them anymore and have nurtured new bonds in a big city. In most cases, though, this good relationship is no decisive factor. In fact, the respondents give priority to their well-being. Here I compared the pros on the left and the cons on the right of living in Zeeland according to my interviewees. These are Dutch terms and they mean the feeling you have when you live in a village and we know each other. So, for example, I come from a small village in Italy, so I perfectly understood what they meant. So when you grow up in a small village, you basically know almost every family and every inhabitant, and you establish a feeling of familiarity and connection. You know you are safe because there's always somebody who knows you and who can help you. And gezelligheid is a feeling of coziness, and it's a very positive word. Then we have nature, fresh air, spaciousness, genuine interpersonal relations, which is also due to the smallness of the area, less expensive houses, and a safe and quiet area. However, we can see that the cons are a bit more. There's a difficult balance between companies and nature, and with that I mean that many respondents claim that there's a lack of companies and they should be introduced. There should be more companies in Zeeland. However, Zeeland is a region that is known for its beautiful nature, fresh air, and by introducing more companies, that would mean damaging the nature. So it's a little difficult to find a balance between these two aspects. Then there's little specialistic job offer, the remote position, which is also not helped by public transportation, bad train and bus connections, problems with university, an aging population and few peers, few social gathering occasions. That was also stated by many people. I found it interesting that religion plays an important role in everyday life. Zeeland is part of the so-called Bible Belt, so it's one of the regions with the strongest religious feeling. It is mainly Protestant, and they notice that if you, for example, if you don't go to church, you will not be totally considered by certain people. You have to behave in a certain way. You don't have to dress up or behave in a certain way, and that makes you feel very limited and doesn't allow you to be yourself. Therefore, many people chose to leave the area. Therefore, we have a difficult housing situation, and sometimes it is difficult to fit in due to language and culture differences. So these are the areas where there are the most suggestions. And in general, all the respondents pointed out the importance of having policy measures that are specifically oriented towards the younger generations. Here I collected some extra suggestions that didn't fit in a specific area. So for some respondents, policymakers should work on less strict legislations for clubs and nightlife. This was a little, it was particular because it was one respondent who works as a sailor, I think, and he suggested less expensive sailing fees, which are free in some countries like Spain. And a suggestion for the housing crisis is to take inspiration from the tiny houses movement. They promote independence, they are small, cheap, well isolated, easy to keep, and they seem to be a very good idea for students. Speaking of accommodations, government should provide an accommodation to those who found a new job in the area. Keep renting costs below €1,000 per month. Then they suggest supporting local activities, but at the same time also create new ones, like a fiets cafe. Fiets is a bike in Dutch, so it's like a cafe where you can bring your bike with you, because cycling is a very important aspect and concept in the Dutch culture. People should be more tolerant and open-minded, so it is also related to the religious beliefs. And in fact, religion shouldn't play such an important role in people's lives. And in general, we should draw more attention to today's youth, because they will be the adults of tomorrow who will choose if they want to stay in Zeeland or not. And in general, let more people know about the perks of Zeeland. So this research shows that Zeeland is still very attractive for Zeelanders, and this information lets us know that the government should keep on insisting on the assets of this province. It is very attractive to foreigners too. In fact, one of the interviewees was a girl from Amsterdam who chose to come and live in Zeeland, but there was also a Polish girl. Young people have clear ideas about the possibilities that Zeeland offers or doesn't offer. So if something's good, they are proud of it and they will talk about it. But if something isn't efficient, they steadily speak out their minds. And it is something that I appreciate about Dutch culture, that they are very direct. Here are some personal observations and suggestions. I noticed that train tickets were quite expensive for me as a foreigner, and I thought maybe there could be a Go Pass, following the example of Belgium. It is a travel card which has how do you say that? Which you pay like €50, and that makes you travel for 10 times. That allows you to travel for 10 rides, yes. Or for what concerns culture, a Zeeland pass would be interesting, following the example of Amsterdam's Go City Pass. So a pass that you can use to go and see the museums and the beautiful attractions of the area for a reduced price. Bus service surely needs to be widened, and there could be maybe some arrangements with Flixbus, because I saw that the closest connection was in Breda or Delft, and that was like 2 hours away from where I stayed, so it's not very comfortable. There should be better and bigger connections with cities, with bigger cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, more car sharing, electric bikes, scooters, so therefore not only bikes. I also noticed that speaking English works fine. Dutch people are almost bilingual. However, to fully integrate, the Dutch language is expected and I think appreciated. Therefore, I think it is very useful for this everyday interaction. So in conclusion, I'm really satisfied and happy with this experience, which allowed me to have a full immersion in Dutch culture and language. It is something I've been studying for years, and I finally could be in contact with this reality. I also learned more about this region, which is a wonderful place surrounded by nature with very nice and respectful people. I appreciate that they're environmental friendly and very conscious about the environment and other people. And I could aid in highlighting these areas' issues and possible solutions to them, contributing to fight the phenomenon of depopulation. And I wanted to conclude with this beautiful Dutch concept, which is gezelligheid, with some pictures of people and moments who made these 2 months very special to me. So I want to thank Officina Giovani Interne's work for giving structure to my questions. Here is some background information. And I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm very glad to answer your questions.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Very nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if there are any questions, maybe from, please.
I hope Rolf.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. It's nice. It's familiar also. It's the things you said about public transportation are very, very true. Yeah, you could say in the Netherlands we have a cultural pass, and with the cultural pass you are allowed to go inside of all the Dutch musea. There's not only in Zeeland but all of them, also the Rijksmuseum, and it's for 60 euros. You can have it for 1 whole year. So maybe that is some of the solution. My question is, you talked about a lot of things in Zeeland. Did you talk about politics, about how young people could change the course of Zeeland?
What do you mean with this question?
I mean, you have things that you can change in Zealand, and I think they are very true and that they are very good things. But to change things, you need political movement, and the young students, they need to mobilize their politicians, go to them, find contacts. And in your questions, did they refer to politics? Were they busy with politics? Do they know their way to politics, or what is their connection with politics?
Okay, actually, I didn't notice much connection with politics. I had the impression that they explained to me what the negative aspects of the country was, but they didn't. They seemed like they were kind of tolerating these aspects, like they were not willing to mobilitate or anything. When I did my presentation in Dutch with Nick, we talked about it with another politician too, from the Tweede Kamer. And she also seemed interested in this situation. But no, not many young people talked about politics. They mainly talked about the attitude of people and the relationship with religion and so on. So nothing very concrete.
So more from a personal point of view, but basically not from a, let's say, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rolf, can I ask you a question? What is the biggest problem of Zeeland at the moment?
Yeah, I'm working in Dutch. I'm a Dutch teacher, and I'm also in the politics of Zeeland. And the problems for Zeeland, the biggest problem, I think, is the public transportation. But you also mentioned the living crisis, and that's also very true. We had in the past a working crisis, and that there were too little jobs for people. But now we have, I think, too much jobs for the people we have here. So it's different now. Um, Living crisis may be the most important. People cannot find a house where they can live in at this moment. And that is also to the government to change that. But if the government is only focused on right-wing policies, for example, on things like immigrants, yeah, then people don't solve housing crisis and mobility crisis and that kind of thing. And I also think that the nature crisis is somewhat underestimated. And we see that also in Zealand, the temperature is going up. Yeah. Did people tell you about the nature crisis, the climate change in the Netherlands and Zealand specifically?
No, not in my case. Most of them described Zealand as a very pacific and bucolic place with lots of nature, fresh air, spaciousness. But no, they said they wanted to preserve this state of beautiful nature. But no, and I also noticed that the situation was much better in comparison to, for example, bigger cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, that I went to visit.
Yeah, you're right. The problem for nature is the long term. Namely Zealand, just like another a lot of the Netherlands is under water level. And we have the big dikes, we have the bridges, and we have the stormvloedkering. But some people say that will not be enough. And that if a big storm comes, that it will be difficult for Zealand to surpass that, to become to remain Zealand like it is now. But I think that what you describe in your investigation is that young people are busy at their needs at this moment. And as they don't need politics for they said it's not good, but okay, we will manage. They don't need nature, or nature is already there. So a global change, we don't matter. It doesn't matter. Living room, okay, I have something small. It's okay. But my point is that young people also have to stand up for themselves and say we need this, we need that, and to activate themselves, to be politically active, to change their destiny. Because now they say to you, okay, this is not good, but they don't change it. They don't file in complaints. They don't come here to the provincial house and say it's not good. We have that we call it insprekers, and that are people who come here and they say what they like or what they say what they don't like, and they tell the politicians what they want to change. But yeah, usually elderly people come to here, people from 60 and 90, 60 and 70 years old, and they don't see a lot of the young people. So when we talk about public transportation, it is important. But if young people come here and they say we need that bus, we need a flex bus, like you mentioned, that could help a lot.
Yes, yeah, I agree with you, and I saw that they are very focused and stuck in the moment, and not very future oriented. Yeah, that's true.
But that's the same in Italy, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
especially with very young interviewees,
yeah.
as I ask them, so what are your suggestions? I say this and that, okay, and I ask, what could we do? What could the government do to make this thing happen? Most of them say, I don't know. They just say, this is the problem for me, but I don't know how to activate myself to solve that.
Yes, I said the same in Italy. So
Yeah.
yeah, the real problem is like to also activate them, to engage them. They feel like politics is something very yeah, I mean very distant.
Far away.
Yeah, far away
Yes.
from their interest, from their personal life, and I agree. I mean, in general, that it would be much better if they would, I mean, do something or go to yeah, politician or the administration saying, okay, look, this is something we would need here. but it's difficult to engage them somehow. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's everywhere the same. When you are young, you are building your life, and yeah, politics is far away. Yeah, far away. But you are an exception, Rolf. You are an exception.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's true. I'm a little bit younger.
Ah,
That
rough.
you see here in the hall behind me. You can see that a lot of white males from age 60 to 70 are here with high educations, and they are usually right-wing parties from the SKP. You talked about religious
Yeah.
party. Now that's one of them, the SKP. In the Netherlands, it's a very small party, only 3 of the 150 seats. In this house, it's the third party with 5 of the 39. So that is a major difference. And yeah, I as a young person, I started I have to do something for my environment. I have to change things, and that's why I went to
Yeah.
politics. So what you are saying, it's quite. I recognize it. Um, yeah, this is the image that we see over and over again. And then, like I said, in half an hour, I will go into that hall and I will say the NS, that's from the trains in the Netherlands, is not doing it very well.
Mhm.
So I will say, well, we need to give them a warning that they have to do better. But it's for a long time. It's that if things are going wrong in top public transportation, and for example, in Luxembourg, it's for free. People can drive with the bus, with
For
the
free.
train
Yeah.
for free, and that's so a difference. It's the mindset of the people in Zeeland. We need a car, and with the car we can move through the province. And you're right, it's very small scale. I have another question, and it's about the nuclear power plant. In the Netherlands, we only have one nuclear power plant, and we have big discussions about the second, third, or fourth, and they all have to come probably here at Zeeland, Borselen, from 15 kilometers from Middelburg. It is. Did you speak people about the nuclear power plant in Borselen?
No, I didn't introduce that subject, so I didn't think it was directly related to the research, but it would have been interesting, maybe related to the environment. But no, because personally I wasn't I didn't know much about it too. I knew there are some nuclear areas, if you can call them like this. But no, unfortunately, I didn't ask about it.
Yeah. Yeah. But Rolf, I want to ask you a question about tiny houses. I think there are 20 or 30 or 40 tiny houses in the area, but we need hundreds of tiny houses for divorced people, for elderly people who live alone, for young starters, etc., etc. Why is the tempo so low?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I understand. My girlfriend, she has bought a tiny house in Goes. It's only 10 tiny houses over there. And
10.
10, yeah, 10 in Middelburgse Straat behind, close to the center. And yeah, she has problems with that because it takes so many time for the gemeente, municipal of Goes,
Realization.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, to give the contracts and to give that fill in the forms and that she needs everything. So it's
Bureaucratie.
yeah, that's a Dutch word, bureaucracy. Yeah, bureaucracy for to make it so. And we also see that the surroundings, people have a lot of opinion about it. Namely, people don't agree always when the tiny houses will come. The Netherlands is, in Dutch you say mondige maatschappij. And the Dutch think about
Have
things.
an opinion. Have an opinion about
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah, that's what I mean,
I
indeed.
know.
And they can stall a process that it takes very long time. And the gemeente is now trying and looking how this plays out. But yeah, if you have 10 houses and it takes you 3 years to finally put a house, those 10 houses, then you think, well, this is not a solution for the housing
No,
problem.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. It's no, no.
Bureaucracy is a word you see. Think that you see it more in the Netherlands than in Italy, because yeah,
True,
we want
true.
to have rules for everything.
Oh, no, don't worry. In Italy, it's the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even worse, I think. I mean, it's also, yeah. No. Well, bureaucracy is also a big
Yeah, we have
problem in
lots of
Italy.
people.
Yeah, definitely. Also.
But in the Netherlands, two special birds can stop a project. When two
Mm-hmm.
special birds are there at the building place, they can stop the project for months.
Mm-hmm.
So because they are special. So,
I see.
Rolf, it's true, eh?
Yeah, no, it's true that the birds
Yeah,
are protected in the law, and
yeah,
you are not allowed to kill the protected birds. So if they have a
yeah,
nest over there,
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
example, we had a train, and under the train there was a das, and I don't know the English word for das, but das is it's a creature, and the das he had a burgt under the train, and well, it was dangerous for the das that there was a train over it, so yeah, no train was allowed to cross that part of the track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
only for one das.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the same
Stupid.
in Italy, and especially
Yeah, it's the
for
same.
yeah, in the, let's say, in the small towns like Frigento, no? Okay, you've been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Since the whole borough is protected by law, so if you want to change something to your house, you cannot do that without the permission of, we call it sovrintendenza. You have to tell them that you're not going to change anything, let's say, okay, but you just renovate a house, or you do little things, and not really big changes to your house,
Mm-hmm.
because the whole borough is protected, and everything you do in the borough, so to private houses, I mean, to the streets, and has to stick to some rules, and has to be approved by this
Yeah.
sovrintendenza, we call it. Yeah. So
Permission. Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
permission. Yes, exactly. So it takes some time.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it can take years and years for you have a tiny house project in the Netherlands. But
Yeah. Okay.
and years ago, the government said in a press conference, we want to deregulate, so less rules. But it's not.
Mm.
No,
But we have
not.
another problem. I think, as far as I understood, it's not the same in your place. So we have many houses, but they are empty.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
because
yeah,
people went to big cities,
yeah,
and so they just come back, I don't know, for holidays, a few
yeah,
days, or sometimes
yeah,
the houses belong to their parents. The parents are
yeah,
now dead, and they don't come even back.
yeah, yeah.
And so there are many houses, and the
Mhm.
crisis is that these houses are empty, and
Mhm.
they don't even rent them. I know, so
Yeah,
they just leave
Yeah.
them. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know
Dirt
if it
cheap.
is the same also in
No,
your
no, no,
case.
no, no.
We have
Johanna.
two things, and the
Yeah.
first one is that yes, we recognize what you tell. About 10 years ago, there was a change, and the
Mm.
change was that, for example, in small villages, also people come to live there because the price was lower for
A
the
lower, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
so there was nothing available in big cities, so they came to there, and now for example, Sluiskil in the Netherlands, yeah, a lot of people came to there, and from 50% that houses were not used by people, then now all the houses or almost all the houses are used
Are you? Okay.
because it was affordable. And the second thing is we also have in the touristic areas, for example,
Mhm.
in Katzand and Breskens, we have second houses. and that means that Belgian people, German people that have a house, and that they come there for holidays, for summer holidays, and then they leave again, and they buy that as a sort of investment. So in those places, Katzand, Breskens, you see houses who are not filled with people in the winter times.
Okay, yeah. But you're more a touristic place, while here it's not like this. Yeah. At the moment.
It was in Spain the same, Johanna. Eh? We saw in Spain the same, in all the little towns. Yeah, they were closed and ghost towns.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even worse, I think, than in Italy, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, for some aspects, true.
Yeah.
Many people buy houses too in my village because I live nearby the sea. So I see that many people from the nearby provinces buy a second house and then come only once a year, and then in the winter there's like
it's everything. Yeah,
because my village is like 10,000 inhabitants, so kind of small, and maybe it's like 8,000 in the winter time, and then in the summer it becomes double, maybe. I don't know. And it's a little bit sad. And that's also why I chose to apply for this program, because I found a similar situation. So I wanted to investigate more about it. I found it interesting that there was a similar situation in another country, and I wanted to be helpful in some sort of way.
Yeah, I have to go to the hall, but first I have a conclusion, and that is to thank you for your presentation. The things you said, pointed out, are very true. They, I know, I made notes, and on the notes I said, well, yeah, it's so familiar what you are telling about Zeeland, and it's good that a talented person from Italy, from Naples, says you have to look at like this and you have to look at like this. And yeah, your investigation is spot on. It's yeah, I think how people really see Zeeland with the positive things, for example, the safety, the security that it gives, the nature, but also the negative things, namely that yeah, it's sometimes there's a quiet part with no good public transportation, and it's a long way to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rolf, I will send you the 5 reports by mail. Yes, we keep in touch. Yeah, we make an appointment about this. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you again. I will go out and
thank you for joining us.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Rolf.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so we can stop now.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay.